Landon Beckham here. Today I'm going to talk to y'all about frog fishing. This is a technique that I basically learned here in the past 3 or 4 months. We've gotten a lot of rain here in East Texas, and that's basically been the one bait I've been throwing to catch some of my bigger fish. But in this video I'm going to talk to y'all about the setup you need to be a really good frog fisherman. And I'm going to talk to y'all about just the variety of frogs that are on the market today and kind of the best times to throw them. So stay with me. Now let's talk about the setup here. Now my rod setup is an H2O Express 7-foot. It's a heavy. You have to have a heavy rod if you plan on fishing a frog. That's just plain and simple. Now the reason I went to the H2O Express was because I broke 3 frog rods this year, and I got really tired of spending $100 to $120 on a frog rod I was going to end up breaking next week. I went to this Ethos Heavy Action H2O Express rod about 2 months ago, and I have had no complaints about it. I pulled 5-pounders out of mats. I've done some crazy stuff with this rod, and for 59 bucks you just can't beat it. Now the reel, this is a Tatula. It's a 7:1-to-1 gear ratio, and the high gear ratio is absolutely key to frog fishing. When you set the hook on those fish and they are way back in that cover, you want to winch on that reel about 4 or 5 times, swing them in the boat, and that's it. That's all she wrote. You don't want to give them any time to play around. Now the braid, I've got 50-pound Berkeley braid on it right now. I don't like going 65 unless I absolutely have to. When I'm fishing heavy mats, stuff like that, I will go to 65. However, when I'm just skipping under trees, fishing kind of open water, secondary grass lines, that is when I like to throw 50-pound braid. I've never had it break on me. I feel like I can work my frog a lot better with 50-pound braid. It throws a lot better in 65. There's just a lot of things that I really like about 50-pound braid that I really can't do with 65. So that's the basic setup. Have a heavy action rod, have a high-speed reel, and definitely have braid. 50-pound braid probably minimum for that. So that's my setup. Let's start getting into the frogs. There's 1,000 different frogs on the market today. Let me try to break them down for you the best I can. Now the first frog I want to talk to you all about is called a Ribbit frog. This came out about 7 or 8 years ago. I actually remember when it did come out. I was at a tackle shop with my grandpa, and a guy told us to pick us up a pack of these things, and we did, and it was absolutely incredible. My grandpa's got a pond in his backyard. We would literally catch the same bass 5 to 6 times on this thing because they just could not deny it. Now this frog is this is just a single offset shank hook. This is actually not what you're supposed to be throwing. They actually have a Ribbit frog hook that's got 2 prongs you stick in both legs. It really increases your hook ratio. But the difference about this frog compared to just a regular hollow-bodied frog is this is meant to actually be fished pretty fast. This is actually a search bait. I use this bait when I really am not sure if they're up shallow yet or if I'm just trying to catch a fish. This is what I'll use. You basically throw it out there and you just let these paddle-tailed legs just make a commotion on top of the water. And a lot of times those fish will react to it. Now the key with this thing is I don't like throwing this thing in murky water. If you don't have probably 6 inches to a foot of visibility, I probably wouldn't throw this thing because these fish have to locate it. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It displaces a little bit of water, but it's not like a buzz bait or something like that where they can actually tune in and see the wake and stuff like that. So I would throw this, and if I could see 6 inches down, maybe 4, I would chunk this thing. But if it's super murky, I would not throw this. But this is just a great all-around search bait. If you don't know what the fish are wanting, you're fishing flooded grass, stuff like this, this is your bait. Now the next bait I want to talk to you about is one that came out about 3 or 4 years ago, and that is a lunker hunt. I think it's like a lunker frog or something like that. Now you look at it in the store and you're like, that is an awesome concept. Why didn't anyone think about this before? But for me personally, I have thrown this thing maybe 3 or 4 casts. I think it's a great idea. It looks really real in the water. However, it's not practical for me. I like to walk my frogs and stuff like that, and I just can't do it with this thing. What it'll actually do, it'll sit on top of the water, and when you twitch it, it'll make a little dive. It'll pop back up. And while you're doing that, these legs are extending. And like I said, it looks really good. I just can't fish it the way I like to fish a frog, so it usually stays in my tackle box pretty much all year round. The next one I want to talk to you about is probably what 80% of the guys throw, and that's a Aspro Frog. To be completely honest with you, I am not sold on these things. I'm not going to spend $9 for a Aspro Frog, and I'll show you that in a second. But basically, this is just a hollow body frog. It's got the hollow body, so when those fish decide to chomp on it, the body will go down, and a lot of times you'll hook those fish. But like I said, Aspro is really not my favorite brand. I will show you my favorite brand right now though, and that is a Pad Crasher Frog by Booyah. Now, you may look at them and say they're pretty similar. However, if you ever feel the body of them, the Aspro Frog, when I push down on that body, I have almost no room for those hooks to engage that fish. Instead, when I'm fishing a Pad Crasher and that fish explodes on it, boom, they're there. I mean, they're hooked. And that's what I really like about these frogs. You're probably going to go through a little bit more frogs with the Pad Crashers just because their body is just so thin. But when these fish decide to actually eat this thing, there is no way they are not getting hooked. They are coming in the boat. Unlike the Aspro, where I've had, they blow up on it like this, and you really don't have a really good hook set. However, the Pad Crasher is just the way to go for me. That's what I would recommend for everybody fishing a frog. As far as colors go, I really don't get too crazy into them. I would throw this black and red one. I've caught so many big fish on this frog right now, right here in my hand. As you can tell, I've super glued this thing 1,000 times. You have that bait in your tackle box that you have used for years. It's just flat out caught fish. That's been this thing. I've used this thing for maybe a month. I have caught so many big fish on it that I really don't want to put it away. So I'm trying to cherish it as long as I can. I would throw this black and red one on cloudy days. For some reason, this thing shows up a heck of a lot better than say a white one would on cloudy days. Overcast skies, stuff like that. That's when you need to be throwing this black and red one. Now the white one, rarely throw it. This is going to be for sunny days. Just if they're wanting a frog and it's sunny, throw the white one. As you can tell, it's still got that gloss on it. I bet I've thrown it 4 or 5 times. Now if it's kind of cloudy in between, like you get a half hour of clouds, half hour of sun, that's when you want to go with just your basic. This is just a green and black one. Underbelly's just kind of yellow. This is just a great all around if you don't really know what color they want. Also, this is kind of a cricket color too. It's got the white, basically pretty much the same underbelly on them. But these two I'll throw just in that in the middle kind of day where it's not straight overcast and not really sunny. That's when I'll throw these colors right here. Now the last frog I want to talk to you about is just the basic popping frog. This is just a deadly bait whenever those fish are. I like it actually in the shad spawn and stuff like that because they can really find it and it looks like a shad and stuff like that. Obviously this one doesn't because it's got the frog pattern, but if you threw a white one, it'd look like a shad. But I really don't throw this thing a lot, probably not as much as I should. But I've just never really caught any fish on it. I know guys that you're probably watching this video going, wow, I've caught a 10-pounder on it, but I've just never really, I've been fishing these Pad Crashers for so long, I've never picked this thing up and really decided to throw it for a day. But I have heard it is a deadly bait. Now I'm about to show y'all some video of me frog fishing 2 days ago. But before I do that, I kind of want to tell y'all what my mindset is when I go out there and stuff like that. Now, if you live close to Tyler, you probably have realized we have gotten so much rain lately. Lake Palestine's like 3 foot high, I think. It's absolutely ridiculous. But that's when this frog is it's really key. I mean, I like throwing this frog on flooded grass, secondary grass line, stuff like that. However, when this water gets so high like this, these fish spread out. I mean, there's so many new things that they can explore and stuff like that. So when we went out, we caught like 7 fish, I think. Thing about this frog, it's not going to catch you quantity. I mean, you're going to go out there and you're going to catch keepers with this thing. That's what this frog is meant for. In a tournament, if you throw this frog, you're looking for a kicker bite. And we got like 3 or 4 of them the other day. So it's just a great bait. If you're out there and your lake's got a secondary grass line, that's the deal. That was the key for us. These secondary grass lines are, when the water is normal, you got a grass line. When that water raises up, you got another grass line up at the bank. And that secondary grass line's still there about 20 feet off the bank. throw this thing in that secondary grass line. Just work it out 4 or 5 feet. If you don't get a bite, reel it back in, make another cast. And that was basically what we were doing, and it was incredible. It was a great day out there, and that's why this frog is really just a great bait this time of year. So get out there and throw it, guys. I promise you're gonna catch a good one on it sooner or later.
Dinks for days. Maybe not. Gosh, mighty. Biggin. Biggin. I'm pretty sure he's on good. Where are Biggin? Yep. Yep. Come on, baby.
Alright, this one was probably one of my craziest fish catches of all time. As you're going to hear in the video, I'm actually talking to my mom on the phone. I've got my phone right here on my shoulder trying to make a few casts with a frog, and all of a sudden this happens.
I have a weekend in between, but I'm sure they'll schedule me working since I get 2 weekends off in a row. But yeah. Yes, ma'am. Can you call my mom? Tell her I got a big one. Hey, Mom, hang on.
No, get him in the net. Let's go. Come on. Yay.
My gosh. Did you see the way she, look at that thing?